Thank you for joining us today for this informative workshop, Tips for the Solo Aging Journey, the final installment of our Getting Your Affairs in Order series. It's presented by Holly Olson, Board Certified Patient Advocate and author of Solo Ager Support Suite. This workshop is offered by Work-Life Benefits at the University of Kentucky. Holly, thank you for your time today. Would you like to introduce yourself and get started?
Thank you, Hazel, and thank you for that introduction. Yes, my name is Holly Olson. I have a Bachelor of Science, a Master of Health Informatics. I'm also a board certified patient advocate. I have over a 25-year career in healthcare. On the clinical side, I started in a hospital laboratory testing lab samples and ended up in organ and tissue donation, where I worked in a laboratory where we worked 24/7, 365 days a year doing DNA typing for potential organ donors. We do the typing, enter the typing on the National Registry list, and match with people waiting for organ transplants. If we had a match with our local list, then we would do a cross match to make sure that those folks were compatible with the organ donor. So all this was on the clinical side of things. And during that time, I also got my Master of Science in Health Informatics. Health informatics is the study of health records and health information, particularly electronic health records and privacy and security and ethics issues within that. But what I want to tell you is how I became a board certified patient advocate. In 2020, my mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. So not only did we have the normal uh, healthcare convoluted process to go through, then we had all of the COVID-19 precautions on top of that. And while we're going through this process, me being the medical one in my family, I was trying to guide our family through this. It occurred to me, how do people who don't have a medical background navigate our very convoluted US healthcare system? And so that is what inspired me to become a board certified patient advocate. Patient advocates are people who can help people get through the healthcare system. They can be professional patient advocates, people who are certified like myself, or they can be a friend or neighbor who's willing to help you with that. We'll talk more about that in a bit. Today, we're going to talk about solo aging, which is a natural extension of patient advocacy. What is a solo ager? Well, solo agers typically don't have a spouse or a partner. Maybe they have children who live far away or who aren't closely involved, or they have a limited support network. Solo aging is not a problem, but it is a situation that requires a plan. So it was serendipitous, maybe, that today our solo aging talk happens to occur on Solo Aging Visibility Today. So this is a national day where we are able to express what solo aging is. And today we're going to have a discussion about how you can help if you're a solo ager, if you know someone who is a solo ager, or if you could be a solo ager. So keep those three things in mind as we go through the presentation. Today, 24 million people in the United States are solo agers. Millions of older adults are aging solo, and that number is growing because people are living longer, families are smaller, and loved ones are often spread across the country. There are lots of positives to solo aging. There's independence, autonomy, making your own decisions for finances, flexibility in your schedule, and you have the ability to design your environment exactly the way you want it. But there are also challenges. Today, we're going to talk about 4 key areas of challenges with solo aging. We're going to have some action steps that you can start today, and then we're going to end with a checklist so that you have a plan moving forward. The 4 key areas we're going to discuss today for solo aging are medical challenges, financial risks, daily living challenges, and social and emotional health. With medical challenges, people arrive at the hospital without information. This is something that I saw on the clinical side of things. There's an emergency. There is something urgent that needs to happen, and people show up. They don't have their medical information. They don't have anything to share other than possibly their insurance card. They also will arrive without an advocate. As we talked about earlier, an advocate doesn't have to be a professional patient advocate. It can be a friend, a neighbor, someone who's there to help you listen, to take notes, and to make sure you're getting to ask the questions that you want to ask about your health care. You may be unable to speak for yourself. Let's say you've had a stroke or you're unconscious from a fall. With the confusion that follows discharge, this is a huge challenge. This is called a transition of care. If you go from a hospital to your home, maybe from a surgical setting to a rehab, during these transitions of care, medical instructions, medications, follow-ups, all that can be very, very confusing. And these are big challenges, especially as a solo ager. Financial risks. Solo agers can be more vulnerable to scams and fraud. Open up any AARP magazine and you will see there's an article on scams and fraud. Solo agers tend to be older individuals, and older individuals are often targeted for scams. It's also financially making decisions without a second opinion. As a solo ager, it's important to take that extra step. You may not have that person sitting right next to you when you're thinking, hey, I'm thinking about investing in XYZ. What do you think? If you don't have that person there, then you need to take that extra step. Talk to your financially savvy friend. Talk to your financial advisor before making a financial decision. Also, long-term care planning is important. You may already have long-term care insurance. If so, I encourage you to really read over that policy and understand what it covers. Also, look ahead. What do you see the future looking like for you? How would you like it to look? Match that up with your finances and talk to your financial advisor to see how you can make your future look the way you want it to. Daily living challenges. Over time, everyday tasks can become harder, whether it's driving, home maintenance, maybe mobility inside the home. These changes often happen very gradually. It makes them easy to be overlooked until something becomes urgent. That near miss while you were driving, maybe that shingle that's been loose on your rooftop, something you could have taken care of before, but now you're just not comfortable doing that. Those things just become harder and they're so gradual. Sometimes it's easy not to see them. Social and emotional health. Isolation and loneliness are 2 huge impacts on mental health. I recently saw a statistic that people who are living in isolation and are lonely, it's likening to 15 cigarettes of smoking a day on their mental health. So it's important to us to understand that impact. The National Library of Medicine says humans are wired to connect. Humans are social beings. We need to be around other people. We need to be our tribe. And as a solo ager, we really need to take that step forward and really make sure that we are connecting with other human beings. So what's the turning point? When you prepare, you reduce uncertainty, you increase control, and you protect your independence. The difference between fear in solo aging and confidence in solo aging is preparation. So what can we do? The first thing is to build your circle of support. That can be friends, neighbors, community members, maybe a faith-based community, a volunteer place that you know, and also your professionals, your attorney, your financial advisor, and a patient advocate. Action step. Identify 3 people right now who could help you in an emergency. 3 people. Who could they be to help you in an emergency? Organize critical information. Medications, diagnoses and medical summaries, doctors, insurance, emergency contacts, and your legal documents. All of these can be organized. Your action step. Keep all this information updated and in one easy to find place. Here's my recommendation. Go old school and get a 3-ring binder with the plastic sleeves. Put your medication list in there. Put your medical summary with all your diagnoses in it, contact information for doctors and insurance, your emergency contacts, and your legal documents. Keep all of these in a binder. If there's an emergent or an urgent situation, you just grab your binder and go. You're ready to go. If you have multiple diagnoses, I have a colleague. She has a client of hers who has multiple major medical diagnoses, and they have a binder for each separate one. So she knows when they're going to the cardiologist, she's grabbing the red cardiology binder. So if you're like my dad, you say, hey, Holly, all this is online. I don't need to do that. They just look in their computer. Well, that's true, except where I live, we have 2 major healthcare systems. This healthcare system uses one electronic healthcare record. The other uses a different electronic healthcare record. They do not talk to each other. So if you go to one hospital, but your information's at another system, there's going to be a delay getting that information. So take your binder, take it with you. I will say there are up and coming, there are going to be apps that you can use that will consolidate all of your information, and you can choose how to share that. We're just not there yet. So your action step is to keep all your information updated and in one easy to find place. Legal and medical planning. Your legal and medical planning will smooth things for any family members you may have, for your patient advocate, and there are documents that you need to have ahead of time. Healthcare power of attorney, financial power of attorney, living will or advance directive, and HIPAA authorizations. So the healthcare power of attorney is you choosing someone and giving them permission to speak on your behalf when you can't. If you're conscious, if you're able to make your own decisions, then you're making your decisions. But if something happens, you're in surgery, you have a stroke and you can't speak, that empowers your healthcare power of attorney to share your wishes with healthcare providers. Financial power of attorney. This is important, and the great thing about the financial power of attorney is you can make it as narrow or as broad as you want. Once again, you're choosing a specific person or persons to be able to do financial things for you. Your living will or advance directives, that is a document that shares your wishes. Do you want to be resuscitated or not? Are you okay with a feeding tube or not? These are the things you put in your living will. It's a document that says, these are my wishes. This is a legal document stating, I want you to do this. I don't want you to do this. HIPAA authorization, I will say you do not need to have this in your binder. HIPAA authorization is you giving permission to who can actually have your healthcare information. And I will tell you, any provider you're at, they're going to have a HIPAA authorization sheet right there for you. But I wanted you to be aware that HIPAA authorizations, that it is a decision you get to make as to who gets your healthcare information. Action step. Choose someone to know your wishes and make sure that your voice is honored in healthcare situations. If you don't choose someone, the system will choose for you. So choose that someone, sit down with them, and have the conversation so they're aware of what you want. Plan for care before you need it. What are your home care options? A lot of people, including solo agers, are aging in place. Aging in place is aging in your own home, the place where you have lived maybe for years. And there are ways that you can stay in your home for longer. You can, let's say you need help with housekeeping. You can get some help doing that. Maybe you need help with meals. You can have meals brought to you. So you can continue to stay in your home and age in place. Also, there are communities that are available. I talked about my mom earlier. She is in a long-term memory care. The facility that she is at has everything from, they start with independent living homes, independent apartments, assisted living, all the way to long-term care, and there's a rehab center there as well. So look at the communities around you, take a day, figure out what you think you would like, and go see them, go visit. They have open house days all the time. And I encourage you to really think about if you're interested in a community, go out and look at them so that when you're ready, you'll know what you want. Another question is, how will you get to appointments if driving changes? So this is an issue for a lot of people. Maybe your eyesight's not great. Maybe your reaction times aren't good, and you decide you're going to give up the keys. Well, how are you going to get to appointments? Well, if you're in a community, lots of times they provide that. Also, lots of faith-based and volunteer organizations have a volunteer group who will commit to taking people to and from appointments. So there are options there. These are things to think about ahead of time and get things lined up. As a solo ager, you need to take that extra step and be prepared. Action step. Write down the answers to the questions on your screen. If any of the answers to these questions feel unclear, this is your opportunity to plan. Technology is your friend. We can use a lot with technology. I told you how during COVID-19, my mom was going through the healthcare system for her Alzheimer's diagnosis. But one of the positives that came out of that was healthcare really had to step up and technology had to step up so people could still continue to work and receive their healthcare. One of the things that you can get is a medical alert system. I can tell you my grandmother, she received one of these. I'm in Ohio, and our Council on Aging are county by county. The offerings they have can vary. She was in a county that offered a medical alert system at a nominal fee. She lived in an independent living apartment, and she got up one night, fell, broke her hip, and she pushed her little pendant with her medical alert and she got emergency care right away. I'm 100% convinced that that medical alert system saved her life. So look into technology that can help you, like a medical alert system or medication reminders. There are apps for smartphones that can remind you when it's time to take your medication. It's an easy way to know when to take it and if you took it. Also, video calling. Technology can be great. Let's say you're not driving anymore and you have a healthcare problem that you think can be solved without an actual in-person appointment. See if your doctor, your healthcare provider will do a telehealth appointment. A lot of things can be resolved just over a video call. Also, Video calls are a great way to stay in touch. We talked about how humans are wired for connection. Do a FaceTime with a friend. Do a Zoom just like this with one of your family members who lives across the country. You can use this technology to help you stay involved. Also, online bill pay, I think is totally underrated. It is the best thing ever to be able to pay your bills at 6 in the morning in your pajamas. And all banking is like that. You can with your smartphone, you can deposit paper checks that goes directly into your account. You can also transfer money between accounts. There's a lot that you can do with online bill paying and banking. Action step. Take an inventory where technology can support you and extend your independence. Identify any technology gaps. So let's reframe solo aging. The mindset shift is solo aging isn't about being alone. It's about being intentionally prepared. And when you prepare, you stay in control. So here's our quick action checklist. Our checklist includes identifying your support people. Who is in your circle of support? Organize your medical information. Get that 3-ring binder. Fill it up with all the things you need. It's great just to be able to hand that to somebody. If you're at the emergency room, they can Xerox it, they can scan it into their system, and they'll hand it right back to you. And it can make your healthcare much more smooth. Complete your legal documents. Yes, you may need to make an appointment with your attorney, but any family attorney, elder care attorney, the documents you need are routine documents for them. Make your decisions ahead of time for your living will. What kind of healthcare do you want? Make sure that's ready to go. Meet with your attorney. There are also some other options online. Then we've got some resources later to share with you that you can look into there too. Create an emergency plan. Who is your patient advocate? Who is your healthcare power of attorney? Who is your financial power of attorney? If you have pets, who's going to take care of the pets if something happens to you? These are things that you can plan way ahead of time so that if something does happen, all you have to worry about is taking care of yourself and your health and not about what's going on with all the details in your life. You've already taken care of it. Also, you want to talk to someone about your wishes. Ideally, this is going to be your healthcare power of attorney. This is going to be the person who acts as your patient advocate. They will know your wishes. If somebody's going to a doctor appointment with you, then they can take notes. They know what your wishes are. They can make sure that you're able to ask the questions that you want at that time. Having that person with you can make a huge difference and can really improve the quality of care that you receive. I have a list of resources here. When you receive the PDF from this presentation, all of these links, you'll be able to click on them. The obvious National Council on Aging, there's an elder care locator. 5 Wishes is a template for legal documents that you can look through. The Care Partner Project is led by an amazing woman who shares lots of free templates and scripts to help you make good decisions while you're in the hospital or during a healthcare issue. Joint Commission Speak Ups. So the Joint Commission, that is the government agency that credentials all the hospitals in the United States, and they have some great resources there you might be interested in. Carriaya is a great group out in the Carolinas, and they're trying to get college students matched up with to caregive for people who may be solo agers or aging in place. And if you're looking for a professional patient advocate, Greater National Advocates and the Patient Advocate Foundation are good places to start. And then there's Durat, which is also a great place for resources, things that include solo aging, um, physical fitness, Alzheimer's links, that type of thing. So I encourage you, if you have any questions about this presentation or anything that has to do with patient advocacy, please feel free to email me at support@patientadvocateinfo.com or visit my website, www.patientadvocateinfo.com. I've got lots of blog posts, some resources that can help for solo agers or any patient advocate information you may need. And I would be happy to answer any questions you may have now.
Well, thank you, Holly. That was great. A lot of good information, a lot of it we've heard before, but I think you're kind of holding us to task to get some things done, which I really appreciate. We do have a couple of questions. With regard to technology, what if your parents don't have the internet and don't want it? How can you support them?
So this is my parents right there. They do not have the internet. They don't want the internet. And I joke with my dad, hey, I read this thing about an internet scam. Are you worried about that? And we just laugh because he doesn't have the internet. But a way to support them, and we did find that there are many things that you can no longer do in person. They want you to do things online. So people like your parents, people like my parents, they need to have that trusted person, an advocate, if you will, for them. And having a power of attorney is a great starting point for that person. Because if you have to be their surrogate online, you're going to need a patient or a power of attorney to prove that you have the authority to do that. So things that we set up, we went to the attorney, we got all of our power of attorney set up, and then we physically went to my parents' bank and they gave us permissions on their account. And you can have lots of permissions or not so many permissions. And that was the way we were able to help them with their banking. Also, patient portals. I am a huge proponent of patient portals. I love patient portals. They make everything easier. If you can get your permission from your parents to set up patient portals for them, that can save you a lot of time and it saves them a lot of time. Just filling out forms for one thing, but also getting results. So, first of all, get your permission from your parents. Hopefully, they're willing to do that. And then maybe not, you'll need a permission form signed for the patient portal. I would also set them up with a patient portal. Now, we talk a lot about technology. Personally, personal relationships are still very important. And it would be a great thing if you are able to even if you're far away, maybe have a Zoom meeting with their permission with their attorney and get everything laid out with them. Maybe meet with their financial folks and get everything laid out. So you have met them and you do have a personal connection. So as much as I love technology and technology is great, having those personal connections still gives you a baseline for that connection to help down the road.
Okay, do you need a living will if you have an overall will already established?
So a living will is different than a will. They are two separate documents and they supply different information. The living will is mostly concerned about your healthcare wishes. And those are things, it will specify to as much detail as you wish what you want if you are in a particular healthcare situation. Typically, wills are more property based. I want the car to go to so and so, I want the house to go to here. So I would say they are two very different documents, but they are documents that if you go to your family attorney or your elder care attorney, they have boilerplate templates all ready to go, and they can very easily set up any of those documents with you. But they are definitely different. They have different goals.
And Holly, should those be looked at from time to time or reviewed?
Any legal document you have should be reviewed. And I would say, especially when there's an event. Let's say your children go from being minors to legal adults. I would do a review then. If somebody moves, do a review then because you'll want all your addresses updated. So yes, there should definitely be periodic reviews. You know, you could say, well, I'm going to review every 5 years, or you can wait until there's a major event, but you definitely want to have periodic reviews on any of your legal documentation.
You talked about the financial POA and you said you could have it go from narrow to broad. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Sure. So, first of all, let me just state I am not an attorney, but these are very common things that people want to set up, the patient advocates are aware of. And I will say that if you have a financial power of attorney, you could say you could write a power of attorney for one single event. Let's say you want someone to transfer a title of a vehicle. You can have a power of attorney that is for one instance of someone doing this one task and accomplishing that, and then that power of attorney is gone. It's done. Or you can have a very broad financial power of attorney where you say, my child or my children or my neighbor has full authority to make any financial decisions in any way, shape, or form from for me. So it runs the gamut from a single task or a single set of tasks to anything and everything.
Okay, so and explain to me, a patient advocate, I understand, is it like a geriatric case manager or are those different things?
It could be a geriatric case managers, and you will find that many patient advocates are actually nurses or retired nurses, um, and they have been case managers in the past. And I will say, if you get a nurse as a patient advocate, you know, that's a jackpot. Another kind of patient advocate, lots of social workers have become patient advocates. They understand how, say, the insurance system works, how those transitions of care that we talked about works because they've been in charge of those. So it could be a geriatric case manager, it could be a social worker, it could be someone like me from a different healthcare or just a different perspective. If you are looking for a patient advocate, I would think about exactly what your needs are and find one who meets that needs. Maybe a nurse or a former nurse is that person. Maybe you're more interested in a social work background. So a patient advocate they can be your next door neighbor, but I would say pick the one that you feel understands your needs and will go the extra mile to make sure that you get those needs voiced and taken care of.
Yeah, at the hospital at UK, we have someone who is the patient navigator, and she helps with transitioning out of the hospital with resources. So that's a different type of patient advocate. Um,
Yeah, so patient advocates they come under many, many names, and it could be advocate, it could be navigator, it could be the consultant. It's just it is confusing and there are a lot of different names, but basically they're doing the same thing. And some of them have a more narrow perspective and some of them have a wider perspective. But don't let the name throw you off. Anybody who advocates for you and your health care is a patient advocate.
okay, good. Um, what are some of the common things that come up in your work that would, maybe relate to our audience here as far as concerns that people have or what they're worried about as they're solo aging?
I think a lot of people worry about the future and they worry about, well, what happens if this or what happens if that? And if those are things you're worrying about, you can set up things right now. And we did all of our action items. Those things can help you. feel more calm, and feel better about your future today. So I would say common things that um, people really want to do, but they don't, is getting that binder made, the one that has all your information, your medical information, your legal information, having that binder. Sometimes we call it the go bag. That's what I call it for my parents. I have a bag that has all of their information in it. Getting all of that collected and having it in one place may not sound like a lot of fun, but boy, when you get that done, it gives you peace of mind that you didn't even realize that you needed. So I would say that's from my perspective from healthcare, having that information, being able to hand it to a healthcare provider, it makes their job so much easier to help you. I would say to your audience as solo agers, do those things, do the preparation, and look for the gaps. And if you're asking questions and that gap still exists, figure out a way to fill that gap.
Okay. I don't see any other questions in the chat. So I want to thank you for all this wonderful information. I think this has been a great benefit and a nice finish to our getting your affairs in order series. So thank you, Holly, for that. And thank everybody who joined us today. And we will see you next time. Holly, thank you so much. I appreciate your time and your
Thank you.
expertise. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.